Alright, hey guys, this tutorial today is, I think, probably going to be a big one, and again, like surfacing, probably one of the most important for a product or industrial designer. We're going to look at 3D sketching and 3D sketching with planes. There's two tutorials in SolidWorks for 3D sketching, and I think both are going to have a lot of value. Combined, they say that they'll go for an hour and 15 minutes. We'll see if we can cut that down, not skip anything, but just cut a lot of the fluff, as we've seen from some of these tutorials here. They seem like they're written 10 years ago, so there's a few things that are actually a bit easier to do now. And I want to combine these two into one because, yeah, they're really good for really strong tools for creating more organic shapes or more creative shapes rather than just your straight extrudes and resolves. Let's get into it. We'll start with the 3D sketching tutorial. So as always, to find the tutorials, click on the question mark, click on the tutorials. This window pops up. Click on all SolidWorks tutorials and then click on 3D sketching. Now, 3D sketching. Using SolidWorks, you can create 3D sketches. Use a 3D sketch as a sweep path, as a guide curve for a sweep, or a loft, or as a center line for a loft, or as one of the key entities in a routing system. I've never done that. A useful application of 3D sketching is designing routing systems. This lesson introduces you to 3D sketching and describes the following concepts: sketching relative to coordinate systems, dimensioning in 3D space, and mirroring features. Let's get into it. First, in this lesson, you build the outer frame of a wire oven rack by sweeping a circle along a 3D sketch. After you complete half of the rack, we'll mirror all to finish the model. Let's go. First, create the 3D sketch of the outer frame. We're going to start with a new file. You should know how to do this by now, new part. And the main thing that we start off with our sketching when we're doing 3D sketches is, instead of clicking a normal sketch to start, we actually click the drop down behind that, underneath it, and click 3D sketch. And we're going to click line. And then what you'll notice here immediately with your cursor is you have usually two letters next to that cursor as you're sketching. Now, what those letters represent is the plane that you're sketching on at the moment. You're in 3D space, you can sketch off one of those planes, but to start, generally, you may line up with an X and a Y, X and Z, Y and Z, for instance. So here, we're going to click a line from the origin, sketch a line that comes out about 135 millimeters long. The pointer changes to XY with the yellow marker for along that axis, while sketching horizontally on the XY plane. So sketching a line to approximate length, then dimension to the exact length later. So they've set 135, let's just drag out, click. Now you see when we click here, we can keep drawing that line, okay? We can keep going around and we're in that plane in 3D space. Now, if you want to change angles, here's the tip. You press the Tab key on your keyboard and that will change to a different angle. And press Tab again and it will change again. Now, this might not look like much when you're in this sort of isometric mode. As soon as I press Escape and I just rotate that around, you can see it's in 3D space. Pretty cool. Now, let's delete everything we don't need. Just go back to the original line and click Select and select the beginning endpoint of the line, which is here. In Property Manager, make sure the endpoint is exactly at the origin. Oh, that's this one here, which we know already. Control Vertex Parameters. You can see 0, 0, 0, and is fully defined. Yep, it's fully defined. If the endpoint is not at the origin, under Parameters, set X coordinate. Yep, done that, and the point is fully defined. Okay, continue on. So we're going to continue and keep sketching lines to approximate length. We'll dimension them later. Now we can see the dimensions down that bottom area there, which we're going to follow. So if you just follow along with me, we'll click on this line here and we'll drag. Now you can see as we're dragging here, we're on the ZX axis. We actually want to go down. So we're going to press the Tab key on the keyboard. I'll just turn that tool on again. Okay, so press the Tab key and now we're going down X and Y, so that's down. And then I'm going to come across. And here you see step 4, once we've done that, is we press Tab and we're going to come across in this direction now. Now, if you get good and confident with these tools, what you can do is, as you're sketching, you can actually type in the number. And if you do that and hit Enter, it will add the dimension as you go. it will save you a bit of time. All right, so here we can go 15, go up 15, I can go across 135, okay, and it'll add those dimensions for us. Now, we can see that we've got dimensions on those, but they're not fully defined, and I think that's going to be because these ones over here are not fully defined. I'm going to select those three and make them all equal, and now what I have to do, I also have to make these two here equal, all right? And now with just a few dimensions, our sketch is fully defined. We can see that at the bottom, okay, of our window. Dimension the sketch is shown, we've already done that. Now, sketch fillets. An important tip with your 3D sketches. Try and put all your definition in, all your sketch straight lines in before you do the fillets. After you do the fillets, it's very hard to undo in this kind of environment where we're 3D sketching. Just because you're in a 3D space, so it's harder to kind of redraw it. All right, this geometry might be easy, but just for future reference, try and keep it simple. We're going to do sketch fillet, and we're going to make it 5 millimeters and fillet each intersection. So we can click on them all, or we can just try and drag a whole box over all of them. Now, we do get this warning: a segment being filleted has a midpoint or equal length relation. Equidistant relation will be deleted and the geometry might move if the fillet is created. I'm going to say yes, and then just fix up any errors afterwards. Because my part's going to be symmetrical, it should still work out. Sometimes you have to do it multiple times. And this is because we did equal relationships rather than a dimension plus a dimension on all the different edges. So if anything gets thrown out, I'll change it, but everything still looks fine. Okay, so I'm happy with that. I wonder if it says fillet the intersections. I'm not sure. I think it does all the corners, so let's assume that's okay. Okay, so we're going to press OK on the sketch, on the fillet tool to close that. And now we're going to do a sweep. Now what this one asks us to do is sketch a circle at the origin. Here's a tip. If you're doing a sweep and your sweep is a circle, you do not have to do a separate sketch for the sweep. I'll show you how to do it in the tutorial, but then I'll show you how you can skip that step. So it asks you to do a 5 millimeter diameter circle at the origin, which we can do here, 5 millimeters. And then with that sketch selected, I can press feature, sweep. It's going to have that selected as the profile, and then as the path, I select the 3D sketch. Done. Okay, so that's one way you can do it. Now, where that process is useful is when your shape that you're going to sweep is not a circle. All right, so anything other than a circle, do this. But if you're doing a circle, you do not need this sketch here. You can just select the 3D sketch you've created, press the swept boss base tool, and instead of sketch profile, you click circular profile. That's here. Circular profile, and you set your diameter. Done. Okay, nice and easy. Hasn't asked us to save yet, but let's do that while we're here. SolidWorks tutorials, 3D sketch 1. Okay, extruding the supports. So we create a support by extruding a circular sketch between frames. Select the front plane, click extrude boss base. We won't do that, we'll click sketch. By clicking sketch, the settings takes us normal 2 straight away. We're going to sketch a circle, and we're going to make it in the middle of the frame, and we're going to follow the dimensions that it says in step 6. So my circle is going to be 4 millimeters in diameter. I'm going to make it horizontal from the origin, and I'm going to dimension it 11 millimeters from the origin. Now, we can see that that is currently over here in the middle of that sweep. That's fine. I'm going to do an extrude now, and under direction 1, we're going to go up to surface in the end condition. So we're going to go here, up to surface, click on this surface. That sweep's going to go all the way from this side to that surface there. And we're going to merge the result. Okay, so it stays as one solid body. Next, we're going to pattern this. Now, pattern the extrusion. Click View, Hide, Show Temporary Axes to turn on Display of Temporary Axes. Select Boss Extrude 1, click Linear Pattern, Boss Extrude 1, appears in Features to pattern, click the temporary axis to go along the axis, set spacing, set number of instances. Okay, we don't have to select an axis here because we are just going in this direction, right plane. So we're going parallel to the right plane. If you were going non-parallel to the right plane, then you could follow this tutorial, do all the stuff with temporary axes, turn that on, select it, etc. But we don't need to do that. We select Boss Extrude 1, we select Linear Pattern, Direction 1, we click right plane, then we put in the numbers, 22 for the spacing, 6 for the instances, done. Okay. No need to hide, show things, just use what's there and available already. Next step, mirror. This one, we've mirrored, well, everything's been sketched sort of starting from that right plane out. So face 1, which is, we could use that end there. We could use that face, or we could just use the right plane. I like using planes as much as you can, and preferably the 3 default planes that you start with. So I'm going to select the right plane. I'm going to click mirror. I'm going to click bodies to mirror. I'm going to select this whole body. I've got merge solids ticked, and I press OK, and we are done. Save the part. Congratulations, you completed the lesson. And we did that in about 13 minutes, 10 minutes. So nice and quick, and we did cut out some of the fluff. So let's go on to the next one. All SolidWorks tutorials, 3D sketching with planes. Okay, so we're going to create an industrial design model using a single 3D sketch and 3D sketch planes. In this lesson, you learn how to open a 3D sketch on a selected plane, add 3D sketch planes using references, use arcs, add relations between arcs, splines, and construction lines, and create a surface loft from a single 3D sketch. Okay. I've got a few issues with this. We'll talk about that as we go. Approaches to 3D sketching. Okay. There are 2 approaches to 3D sketching. 2D sketching with 3D sketch planes. So activate a planar face by adding a 3D sketch plane. Sketching 2D along the plane and add 3D sketch planes each time you move. You need to move sketch entities to create a 3D sketch. This tutorial uses this approach. Interesting. 3D sketching. Open a 3D sketch, press the tab each time you need to move sketch entities to a different axis. That's what we just did in the last tutorial. All right. 2D sketches with 3D sketch planes allows you to define planes, add relations to planes, between sketch entities on different planes. Okay, this could be useful. Let's see how we go. Open a new part, select the top plane, click 3D sketch on plane on the sketch toolbar. 3D sketch on plane. Okay, a 3D sketch plane created on the top plane is displayed. We are learning something new. Even a SolidWorks expert here never ever used that tool or had a need for it. So this should be good. Let's see how it goes. Set the view orientation to view normal to the top plane. Click center line and sketch a vertical construction line through the origin. All right, I'm going to just make it midpoint on the origin and make it for construction. Click add relation. In the graphics area, select the construction line and the origin. Midpoint coincident. Okay, so I just did that. I just did that by default without even reading the tutorial there. Okay, so let's just have it. Good. Sketch an equal vertical construction line to the left of the first. Okay, so I'm just going to draw another line over on this side. I'm going to select both lines, make them equal, make them both for construction. Click line and sketch 2 horizontal lines connecting the end points of the construction lines and dimension one of the lines to 75. Okay, so click both, select both, equal, make one of them 75. All right, next. Click tangent arc and add tangent arcs between each set of endpoints. Okay, you can do that. So tangent arc around and around. Click smart dimension one of the arcs to fully define the sketch. Very good. Click the tick and save as 3D underscore loft. Very good. All right, pretty quick so far. Now we're going to click isometric view, which is actually this one. We're going to click plane on the sketch toolbar. In the feature manager design tree, select the top plane for the first reference. Under first reference, set distance to 40. Okay, so we've used planes before, reference planes, but not for sketching like this. Not this kind of plane here. I think there's a slight difference. I'll try and work out what that is. Press the tick. A 3D sketch plane offset 40 millimeters from the first 3D sketch plane is added to 3D sketch 1. Okay. In the feature manager design tree, double click top plane. Okay. To center the plane to the sketch, drag the points at the corners to resize. Save the file. Not sure if we followed this step correctly. So, because we created the plane and then we selected the top plane for the first reference, like this 3D sketch 2. So I'm a little bit unsure about what's going on there because the preview here doesn't show anything different. Let's just think it's okay and we'll skip to the next step and see if there's any difference here. It's like in the feature, displaying 3D sketch properties, okay. In the feature manager design tree, select the top plane, click property manager to display the 3D sketch property manager, top of the left column. That's this one here. Next to the graphics area. Plane 2 is displayed under planes. Only planes that you add are listed. Oh, okay. Well, there's something we're doing that's wrong. So what happens when you get something wrong in the tutorial is just retrace your steps. Just come back a bit. All right. We're just going to delete that because we're good at this stage here. So then let's reread these steps. So isometric. Click plane in the sketch toolbar. In the feature manager tree, select top plane for the first reference. In the property manager under first reference, set the distance to 40. Click the tick. A 3D sketch plane, offset 40 millimeters is added to 3D sketch 1. So this is where it doesn't look like it's added to 3D sketch 1. It looks like it's added as another sketch. Sorry, it's added as another plane, but you can see in my feature manager tree, I've got 3D sketch number 3 now, before it was number 2. That doesn't make sense. And then it says in the feature manager design tree, double click the top plane, but that does nothing. To center the plane to the sketch, drag the points at the corners to resize. This tutorial makes no sense. Frustrating. Okay. I don't know what it actually wants me to do here. I think they're talking about visibility of planes. Fine. So here they want to be using plane 2, which would be here. Plane 2 displayed under planes. Only planes that you add are listed. So let's try and do this the way that I would do it. Is I would do the top plane here. And if we want a plane that's 40 millimeters above for sketching on, I create a plane here using reference geometry. Plane 1, we click on plane 1, we can see the dimension from the top plane already. And then on plane 1, I can do a sketch. This sketch doesn't need to be a 3D sketch, it's just a sketch. It's using this point here, and it's going to have a dimension of 75. That's easy enough. Now, if we don't want that plane 1 shown, we can click on that, press hide. I'm a bit annoyed, but let's keep going. Preparing to create splines. So we'll try and pick it up. All right, we'll keep going. So press sketch, click plane. In the feature manager design tree, select right plane. For first reference, under first reference, click coincident, and then click the tick. Add a 3D sketch. A 3D sketch plane, coincident with the right plane is added. Okay, great. Now we're going to add, click create a line. We're going to do a center line. Use inferencing to sketch a horizontal construction line through the center of the circle. Yep. So, okay, that is from the center circle one side to the other. I'm just going to make sure we click that and make it for construction. And then we're going to click spline on the sketch toolbar. So spline is a bit more of a freeform type shape. If you use the Illustrator tool in the pen tool in Illustrator, you'd be used to this. So sketch a 2-point spline coincident with the endpoints of the tangent arc and the point of the horizontal construction line in plane 2. 2-point spline creates a fully defined spline. A spline with more than 2 points requires additional relations. Correct. With a fully defined spline, you can add curvature by applying tangent relations between the spline and the adjacent construction lines. The sketch remains fully defined. So what we're doing here is we're just drawing from this point to here and then press escape. That line is fully defined. But what we can do later is move the points and add construction lines or additional relations to control the curve. Now SolidWorks here wants us, or the tutorial wants us to do both lines in the same sketch. So we're going to do that. And then here, we're redefining the splines. We're going to click center line and do the following. Sketch 2 vertical lines coincident to the endpoints and a vertical line to the sketch origin. So we're going to select 3 lines. So 1, 2, 3. I click add relations. I click add relations. Add relation. Okay, you don't need to click that button, add relation. If you've selected the lines, you just then go here to add relations and you just choose what you need to choose. All right. We're going to make them all parallel. Let's make them equal. And we do also have to select them and make them construction for construction. For construction, they are construction lines. In the graphics area, select one of the splines, then press Control and select the adjacent construction line. So what we're doing here is selecting this line, hold Control, select this line. I'm going to make it a tangent. You can see it adds that curve to the bottom of the shape. Beautiful. We're going to do the same on the other side. Okay. You see they're still fully defined. Our sketch is still fully defined even though we've tweaked that shape. Now, completing the addition of curvature, in the graphics area, select the construction line that spans the circle diameter, that's the one here. Then press Control, select one of the splines. We're going to make this tangent as well. Okay, so select that one, make it tangent, and do it on the other side. Curvature is added to the 2-point splines while maintaining sketch integrity. Save the model. All right, cool. Now, just a little tip. You can add dimensions to these splines and the tendency by clicking on this dot here with the dimension tool and then putting a number in. It's just an extra control. All right, that's looking okay. Even with the trouble with the earlier steps, we're going all right. Now, click isometric, click plane. If we want to go isometric here, we can do this. Click plane in the sketch toolbar. Do the following. Select plane for first reference. Which plane? Select coincident, and then click the tick. Click center line. Boy. Select plane. Well, which plane? Stupid thing. This should be here. Select plane. That needs to say right plane. That's what they're trying to do. Okay. Dum. Okay, so we're going to click here. Sketch. Plane. Then we're going to select right plane. No. Front plane. First reference is going to be front plane. That is the one that goes through the middle. We're going to click coincident, and we click OK, and then we're going to click a line that starts. We want to connect to that arc. There we see, point there. We're sketching straight down, and that's going to be a construction line. And then we're going to click, do another construction line perpendicular to the existing construction line that spans the circle. So we're going to go from this point to this point. Now those points come up when I just hover my cursor over the circle. So if I hover, see the points come up. All right, that's good. Now, fully defining geometry. We don't have any geometry yet. It's fully defined already. My sketch is fully defined. I'll skip all of this, skip all of this. Okay, create the third spline. So we're going to do another spline. We're going to go from this point to this point. I'm going to make them tangent just like we did the last one. Okay, and the same for the horizontal points. Okay, and we're done. To close the sketch, with sketching finished, you can turn off plane visibility. Click Property Manager and under Visibility, Clear Planes. Select an area to view or modify its properties. I can't see anything. It's not showing me anything. I talked about this earlier in a step. In the Feature Manager design tree, select the top plane. Click Property Manager to display the 3D Sketch Property Manager, top of the left column. I can't see anything here. Instead, we can just hide, because these are sketches, they're not going to hide, are they? But I can hide and view 3D sketch planes, which I can do there. All right, let's keep going on the tutorial. Reminder, this is the first time I've ever used these tools, so it is a bit rough, but we're still tracking okay. Save the model. Now we're going to create the loft. Okay, so this is some more fun stuff here. We're going to do a surface loft. We're going to click the loft tool, and we're going to use Selection Manager. Now, Selection Manager is required when you want to make selections that are from like the same sketch, same feature. For instance, there's a sketch there, but you've got two different lines coming from two different sides. So SolidWorks needs to know which one you actually want to choose. That's what Selection Manager is for. So right-click Selection Manager, click Select Closed Loop, this one, and select the circular sketch for the profile and press the tick. That's this one here. Press the tick. In the Selection Manager, click Select Group, and then select 4 segments of the elliptical sketch for a profile and click tick. Okay, so again, Selection Manager, we're going to go Select Group, which is this option, and we're going to select these 4 segments at the bottom and press the tick. There we go. I'm just going to turn on curvature display. The profile is looking pretty good, pretty symmetrical at this stage. In the Property Manager, click in Guide Curves. That's the second selection here. Right click for Selection Manager, select Open Loop, this option, and select a spline and press the tick. So we're going to select this one and press OK. Now we're going to repeat this process for the other 2 splines. So we're going to Selection Manager, press this one here, tick, and then Selection Manager, this one, tick. So we've added those guide curves as 3 separate curves. Now you can see I've got this one in the top. I might just want to move that one to the middle. So I've got 1, 2, 3 that kind of go in order. And that might make for a more symmetrical loft. Okay, press the tick, and there is our loft. And you are done. Congratulations, you completed this tutorial. Save and close. Hope you enjoyed this one. We did knock that whole thing out 1 hour and 15 minutes in just under 40. So yeah, pays to work and learn from an expert, saves you time, and hopefully you picked up a few tricks and from that second tutorial in particular, can understand how to work through when you don't quite understand what it's asking you to do and try and work out what sometimes those tutorials are missing. Okay, see you in the next one. Thanks for watching this video. I hope you found it helpful and found something new to enhance your SolidWorks skills. Don't forget to subscribe to Fully Defined for more tutorials, tips and insights from a certified SolidWorks expert. Hit the bell icon so you never miss an update. If you have any questions or topics you'd like me to cover, leave a comment below. I read all comments and love hearing your feedback. Remember, with the right skills and tools, you can turn your design dreams into reality. Keep modeling, keep learning, and always fully defined.